Minister, welcome to the State Department. And it's my pleasure also to welcome a leader who's been a champion of the United States-India relationship for many years, going back to the 1970s, and Indira Gandhi, and I'm talking about the Vice President of the United States. We're happy to welcome you here, Mr. Vice President. Dr. Henry Kissinger, thank you for joining us today. Welcome home. Happy to have you here. As you all know, Dr. Kissinger has yet another book, a new book out, called World Order. And I recommend it to all of you. And just to give you an idea of how insightful this book really is, people are actually reading the book before they look for their names in the index. So it's very significant. I want to thank our chef, Vikram Sunderman, who is responsible for this wonderful meal we're going to have here today. And we are happy to acknowledge his tremendous success at Rasika, which is one of our terrific restaurants here in Washington. One example of how Indian Americans are not just living the American dream, but they're redefining it on a daily basis. And we're privileged also to have musicians here this afternoon from the United States Army and United States Navy bands. And it's always an honor for all of us to hear you play. And everybody here joins us in thanking you for your service. We are deeply appreciative. Mr. Prime Minister, I'm forced to admit that no matter how warm our welcome here today, we're never going to be able to top your rock star reception at Madison Square Garden. Billy Joel called me this morning to make sure he hadn't taken his regular gig there. None of us have been able to turn on a television or pick up a newspaper without seeing the celebrity coverage that the Prime Minister has received. And with it, for all of us, there's a sense of shared excitement and a sense of shared possibility. I've been Secretary of State now going on 2 years, and I was on the Foreign Relations Committee for nearly 30 years. So I've seen, as the Vice President has, we've both sort of lived through the ups and downs of this relationship. And people talk about the United States and India perhaps the way that a matchmaker talks about two friends that they want to get together. And, you sort of have that, oh, you have so much in common. If only you'd spend more time together. But what's very clear about this visit at this moment is that people are watching to wait and see if this Modi moment is going to be the moment when the world's oldest democracy and the world's largest democracy finally capitalize on the full inherent potential of this relationship. And it does, in fact, seem so natural. The United States and India are two countries defined by the belief that all things are possible. President Obama often says that for him, only in America would his journey be possible. And Prime Minister Modi's journey from a young man who sold tea by the railroad in Gujarat to the Prime Minister's residence on Racecourse Road seems no less improbable. This belief in opportunity even against long odds, is really unique to our two countries. We are two countries who begin our founding documents with the same words, the same three words: we the people. We're two countries where entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation is in both of our DNA. The only two countries that could have given birth to Hollywood and Bollywood. The only two countries where high-tech hubs like Bangalore and the Silicon Valley could blossom and be connected even as they are independent in their creativity. We are two countries that, as Swami Vivekananda said in Chicago more than a century ago, have sheltered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations on earth. In the last years, I have been pleased and privileged to see our relationship come a long way. It has been a long journey from the mistrust and misperception of the Cold War period, and even the post-Cold War period, and President Clinton's efforts to forge a new relationship. And those efforts have continued under administrations, Democratic and Republican alike. The question today is whether we are going to at last take this partnership to the new heights that we can both envision. And we're already working together in a crucial number of efforts. Already today, our two navies are safeguarding vital trade routes off the Horn of Africa. Today, our engineers are retrofitting telecom networks to run on solar power together. Our scientists are developing new drugs to treat malaria. Our businesses are trading more together, a five-fold increase since the year 2000. But the question is what this relationship looks like tomorrow. The promise of Prime Minister Modi's visit is really quite simple. This is one of those hinge points in history. Perhaps for the first time, the United States and India don't just share the same founding ideals, but we share the same economic and political imperatives. We both need and want clean air. We both need good jobs. We both need to trade in new markets. We both need more investment. We both need higher education systems that work for the next generation. And we both need to keep our people safe from the scourge of violent extremism. Our new partnership is rooted in both shared values and shared interests. And to me, those are the sum of the same values and interests that you, Mr. Prime Minister, have put at the center of your agenda with the words, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Participation of all, development for all. Prime Minister Modi, we want you to succeed. It is in all of our interest. And we want history to remember that what you did for India's development is the same memory people have of the history of Mahatma Gandhi and what he did for India's independence. So we are invested in that future together. I don't think it's a coincidence at all, in fact I know it isn't, that Secretary Pritzker, Secretary Hagel, Deputy Secretary Burns, and I all went to India during your first 100 days in office. And it's not a coincidence that you have come to America so early in your tenure. We are all invested in this relationship because we recognize what this moment demands of all of us. President Franklin Roosevelt, of course, described America as having a rendezvous with destiny. India's first Prime Minister spoke about India's tryst with destiny. And this can be a moment where, for the United States and India, our destinies actually converge. If we make the right choices, if we harness the capacity of our two nations, if we seize the opportunities, this can be the moment to transform our strategic relationship into an historic partnership, a partnership that honors our place as great powers and great democracies. We're, as I said, lucky to have a vice president who understands this vital importance and this relationship, who understands the importance of aligning our interests and our values, and that's why he has always believed so strongly in the vitality of the relationship with India. The Vice President and I have been friends now for about 40 years. And of course, he has been almost just as long a period of time a great friend of India. We were longtime colleagues in the Senate, where I saw again and again his personal relationships at home and on the world stage work to advance the interests of our country. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for joining us today.
इसलिए छोटे-छोटे लोगों के लिए बड़े-बड़े काम करने का इरादा रखा है.